You're listening to Awards Magnet, a Gold Derby podcast hosted by Joyce and Christopher Rosen. Welcome back to Awards Magnet, Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce and Joyce. We have a big episode today.
Yes, if you couldn't tell by the title already, Sebastian Stan is coming up later. You could skip this part and just go to the interview.
I will say this: I tried to not spoil it, but I did, I think, a pretty poor job of this. But I will say, last week when we teased this, I saw somebody in the comments on YouTube say, "I think they're talking to Sebastian Stan," and to that person, you were correct because we are.
Wow, what did they win?
Nothing. Our praise, I guess. The fact that I referenced it. No, Joyce, we talked to double Golden Globe nominee Sebastian Stan, a nominee for A Different Man and The Apprentice. Mm-hmm. And I think we were talking about this briefly before. We could have spoken to him for 2 hours. It was a wonderful guy. He's great.
I have so many questions I did not even get to. I'm very happy I got one of them in there towards the end before we did our rapid fire because it was very important to me.
And it was a great time. Hopefully, Sebastian Stan will come back, maybe if he's nominated for Oscars.
Yeah. Or even, just for Thunderbolts.
Great. All right, so stay tuned for that right after I'm finished talking here, I guess. But you'll hear us talking to Sebastian Stan. That's coming up right now. Joyce, we're back here on Awards Magnet, and I'm so excited to say we're talking to Sebastian Stan. Two-time Golden Globe nominee this year for A Different Man and The Apprentice. Sebastian, congratulations first on those nominations. That's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me.
You're the first male to do this I saw since Ryan Gosling, right, in 2012 for Ides of March and Crazy Stupid Love, which is pretty cool.
Yes. I've been informed about that, but I also remember those movies very well I'm a very big fan of his, so I'm certainly very grateful to be anywhere in the same sentence, I guess.
Well, now I've read that you couldn't sleep the night before, and then you ended up watching the nominations live.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys know how this. How this thing all goes, I guess. It's like whether, even if you're just in a bunker, like someone is going to tell you or alert you of what's happening. And so we had a screening of A Different Man actually on Sunday night, and we were doing a Q&A after. It was really great. David Ariola came and did it with us, and then people were just like tomorrow. So I was actually, I kind of fell asleep around midnight, and then I'd woken up at like 4 and was like, okay, this is in an hour, and then. I usually read on my phone. There are certain books that I read on the iBooks on my phone, weirdly, and it makes me fall asleep again. So I was doing that, and then I fell asleep and kind of like jolted halfway through from a phone call, being like, to turn this on now. So and I was obviously. Very, very like it's like dark, and it was a very surreal experience. But I was very grateful to obviously, even be there once, and with particularly with the Apprentice, it was even maybe more surprising because I just never know what to expect with that one.
Yeah, I've told Chris once they read Jeremy Strong in supporting actor, I was like, Seb is in The Apprentice.
It's like I don't know. I mean, like, but I was really grateful that obviously both of us could be in there. I mean. We feel very strongly, obviously, about the film because I feel the movie could have gone so horribly wrong. I mean, even just attempting to do the story and the filmmaking, and I feel like Ali Abbasi, kind of the way he shot it and the way he's made the film is really kind of maybe the best version of what that film could have been, given all of the circumstances and the subject matter and everything. But even like both of us in there was a big gratifying moment, obviously, because I feel so connected with him, obviously, like having gone through the whole thing.
Do you have, so you mentioned like The Apprentice, like obviously the response since Cannes has been like, I don't know, I wouldn't even say polarizing. Like you said, no one wants to touch this movie, right?
It's a very good movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to touch it, like all these different things. But when you're like, so you mentioned like you're doing these events and stuff, that like the public maybe what kind of feedback do you get from like other actors and filmmakers about the movie? Because it's so good. And like you said, I think it's like the best version of this story. And it's like really great. And a movie that I think will age really well also. Like I think this is a movie like 5 years from now, people are going to be like, this is a great movie. I guess like what kind of response do you get from people in the industry about the movie that like they aren't maybe even saying publicly or people aren't saying publicly?
Well, I remember a little bit like with I, Tonya, like when that happened, we would go around with the movie and people would come up and go, this is my favorite movie of the year. It's my favorite movie of the year. And you would go, oh my God, this is incredible. And I still get that from people now. And, it went on to have a great life with sort of Margot and Allison. But, there are still people that come up now kind of going, that could have been a best picture. That should have, it could have been, it's just interesting, and so I don't know if this will, like you said, in 10 years time, be, as we've had like a moment and a distance to kind of look at it again, maybe it will be considered, but I do feel it will be talked about. Like kind of, I keep thinking maybe like Fight Club, Fight Club was one of those films that came out and sort of at the time was maybe not what people expected, but then years later we're still talking about it. But yeah, I think other than sort of our own general feeling that under the circumstances of this thing falling apart so many times and then finally getting a SAG waiver and being shot literally a year ago, all on location in Toronto, in the span of like 32 days. And then 3 months later, we're at Cannes and all the uphill battles. Like, not only do we feel like it turned out the best it could have happened with what we were dealing with circumstantially, but then it does get validated when, you get text messages and emails that your agents are forwarding you from people you've grown up with, admiring, that are like, hey, I just want to tell you, this is my favorite thing I've seen.
You said on Jimmy Fallon last week that Steven Spielberg came up to you at the Governor's Awards, right? Yeah.
That was, that was so crazy because and again, this is what's so strange about some of these events, because you're in the room with people that you've idolized your whole life. And I'd gone to Universal a lot for 20 years auditioning for pilots and driving by that Amblin and never getting anywhere near, sort of meeting this man that I've idolized. But then we're in this room and sometimes like you're in a conversation and somebody like him kind of ends up near you. And I sort of was like trying to get the courage to say hello. And then he actually, sort of said hi and was just, I love these films, and you're, it's so great to watch you. I've been aware of you, but it's so great to watch you try and take different, on different roles. And it gives me an idea of what, you're sort of capable of. And I guess you take that and you, for someone like myself who's always looking to kind of again stretch and offer something different, hopefully something like that feels very gratifying, obviously. Yeah. And there's been other actors also who have loved the film, and so we're but that's why the other day with the Globes and certainly with the Indie Spirits, it sort of felt like, oh wow, like maybe now we can have, or people can feel like they have more permission to just acknowledge the movie publicly, rather
Mhm.
than just
Yeah, it does definitely
private.
does feel like that. Like it feels like, especially as like last, a couple of weeks ago, you made headlines obviously with your revelation that you were unable to do actors on actors because other actors' publicists didn't want their clients to be paired with someone about movie about Trump. And do you, I mean, even in just the past few days, do you sense any of that like shifting a little bit and just seeing more of like a public embrace of the film?
Well, it's interesting because our writer Gabe Sherman just sent me something this morning that said that I think it was. I don't want to get it wrong. Like maybe I want to make sure I'm reading it right. But he sent me something that said, I think EW highlights 7 favorite hidden gems of 2024, and we're on that. So I mean, it's just funny because for us, it's like every little thing like that ends up being like,
You'll take the W where you can get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole thing, honestly, about the variety thing that I was trying to make a point about was because it came off the heels of this conversation that Peter Hammond was having with Ali Abbasi at this screening we did about what's the perception of the film been like, and he was highlighting the sort of this duplicity to it in terms of even with distributors who were really loving the film but were like, I just don't know how to get into this at this moment. And then I was sort of following up with the variety thing only to highlight that there is fear, and I mean, I guess there's always been fear around movies and I guess things artistic and so on. But this time it sort of feels obviously more raw because it's all happening in real time as we're, and this movie is not a film that waited 10 years when we all got good and comfortable to look at sort of the potentially questioning choices we've made. And now we can like look back and go, what did we do wrong? It's actually happening in real time where we're being face to face with, not being we're being face to face with indifference, and we're being challenged to not be indifferent in a time where it's actually like we're like, for survival, mental and emotional, we're leaning towards being indifferent, and I think that's the difficulty around it. And what we've been trying to talk about was, that regardless of your point of view of the subject or him or whatever, or how you grew up or where you're from, there is still the benefit of having an experience with a movie, which is what a movie is supposed to do. That's what's offering different to you than facts or news or whatever else you're reading about a subject, or getting from friends or colleagues or whatever. It's, you can go and have your own experience with this person for 2 hours, and there is an instinct there that you may have as a human being that will override whatever else you're being told to think and feel, and that's where I think the benefit is. And it's, I don't know, like it's going to continue to sort of bring out different things in people, but there, I think there's still value in that. But the only thing I was going to highlight, sorry, because I know I've gone off in terms of the variety and what we've discussed is that there is a bit of a fear that is easy to get habituated to, and I think it's about catching that midway in terms of, hey, let's not normalize like an uncomfortable. Oh, sorry, there's some dogs.
That's okay.
That's okay. He likes what you're saying.
He likes the answer.
Yeah.
Let's not normalize any fear, about anything. That's all.
The other thing I was thinking too, in terms of the movie, is like, I think Ollie said this I was at Telluride. Sebastian, it was great. It was first screening there, and he said that's like a mirror to the American audience. And I kept thinking about that watching, because I think the other thing about the movie, regardless of whether you're like, it just is like kind of showing Americans complicit in the this is like the American dream, right? In some ways, like the Trump story is like American dream. And like, I think the movie, like I was thinking of it like Boogie Nights or Wolf of Wall Street, you like all of these movies where you're like rooting for these guys, right? A little bit. And like, so then to make the audience kind of, even for a second, empathize with Trump, I think is like really daring and challenging. And that's another reason why I think people
they don't want to feel that. They think it's wrong to feel that way. And also this movie is not about politics, it's about his persona and how that was created through Roy Cohn. And then you also see him grappling with that in the last act. And it's like a reminder of how corrupted he was by the lessons that Roy taught him, because like his weakness was enabled by him. So it's really not about the politics at all.
Yeah, it very much is a character study. I mean, that's how we always looked at it. And also, it's a movie that, and maybe this is the real European point of view, right, from having a European filmmaker. And when you have, they're used to this in Europe with the European films, much more than we are here. Like, we want an answer. We want to watch a film and
you want the happy ending,
whether it's a happy ending or
it's like closed up, neatly tied up in the bow.
Like give me what I'm supposed to take away. And and I think we both know, like, Anatomy of a Fall, right? For instance, what's so brilliant is, like, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, do you think she did it? I think she did it. And I'm like, we're still questioning what happened. And there's something, I think there's something great about that, about being left with questions, right, which we can keep mulling. And I think, having Ali as a European filmmaker doing this film was what was sort of interesting and different about it. I'm not sure if it would have been really as interesting with sort of an American filmmaker. I mean, that wasn't as interesting to me jumping on as he was doing it. But it does leave you with questions of, well, how did this happen? Is this inherently the person, or is it the system? Could anybody have been corrupted in the same way as, by a Roy Cohn if they were coming up in that way? And what even is a country that, or a system that has allowed Roy Cohn to be what he is? Because to some extent you can make the argument that the same thing had happened with Harvey Weinstein. I mean, Roy Cohn is sort of an older Harvey Weinstein. He was having these unbelievable, elaborate get-togethers at his house, and politicians and movie stars, and you had Truman Capote and Andy Warhol and New York Yankees and politicians, and so it's, again, like it sort of highlights something that I think we don't necessarily want to put a lens on, but it keeps happening. You could make the same argument about P. Diddy Combs. Again, it's like there was something on the news. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I want to get to A Different Man, of course, but I think with both Trump and Edward, they are. I mean, both films are about identity, and also like denying reality in a way. But both characters, they are starting anew, like rebuilding their identities. And like what you were saying before about Ali not being American, you're not American either, and you moved around a lot when you were a kid, from Romania to Vienna and to the US during your formative years, so you've also had to start over. So I guess, how did that inform both of these performances in terms of restarting?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I don't, this thing, you do everything you can to prepare, right, for like lightning to strike. Like, you don't have as much control, or I didn't have as much control over, certain jobs, I guess. When I was younger, I was trying very desperately to get certain jobs that I thought everybody was trying to get, and they just didn't happen for me, And then I, Tonya happened, and then I kind of, since then was really looking to find more meaningful work or something that would inspire me the same way. And then it didn't happen right away after I, Tonya either. It just, A Different Man kind of found me through my agent, and in 2022, and then we went right away, and it just came together in 2 seconds. And the Apprentice just never went away. Like, it was like always coming back somehow, and then it finally happened when it happened. So sometimes it leads me to believe, like, I should just kind of like that. I feel sort of I'm just on this path, and then things kind of come together when they come together, I guess. But it did catch me at this point in time at 42, both of these films, where I'm really questioning, kind of like, okay, what's the second half of my life going to be? What am I? If I'm going to have kids, what is this? And really also asking myself who I am. I mean, I guess that's actors do that anyway all the time. It's always like a self kind of you're trying to understand yourself, and maybe you are an actor because you're always second guessing sort of who you are, and sure, because of my background, maybe for better rather than for worse, I've been put on a sort of on a platform to always be kind of trying to discover things, and never feeling totally settled in one particular lane. So I think all of that contributes to these projects kind of coming along for me when they did. And I do see that there's sort of a familiar theme for whatever reason that has found me here with these, because I think whether it's my kind of wrestling with this American dream idea, and also questioning kind of when are things enough? When do you feel like you've really arrived, and why is it that we're always sort of chasing this next thing, and which is a very American thing, and this ideology of like kind of like crossing that 1 yard line and planting your flag in the earth, and being like, there's something very American about that. And I'm still trying to figure that out. And then with A Different Man, it's like, who hasn't been obsessing about someone else's life? And, I think that's what we're all doing, even if we don't want to now, right? It's just
especially with social media too.
Social media, or there's another podcast, or there's another talk show, or
call us out, yes.
or there's someone's doing something. Well, you're getting this, but they're not getting that. But they're getting
the grass is always greener, yeah.
And so I feel both of these kind of definitely allowed me to try and explore some of those things that maybe I'm questioning subconsciously sometimes, or I feel I'm driven by in ways,
Do you think you're like, I mean, having done these, and like you said, like A Different Man you did first, and then obviously Apprentice, but they're both out this year, which is great as that happens. But I guess, like, in terms of you as an actor, do you feel like, I don't know if do you think of yourself differently as an actor now, or like maybe not better? Like, do you think you are better now having done these, or like, how do you view yourself now as an actor having done these projects?
Well, I mean, I'm just excited, because I feel like I'm at this place now in my 40s where I feel I'm emotionally, I can understand myself more. I feel like I'm better at being a parent to my own little kid. I can, but I can also, I'm still physically able to kind of put in the work and kind of the commitment. So I feel I'm excited going forward, because I think I know what to look for now. But I think you're only better based on the company you keep, and that's been a learning lesson since Jonathan Demme back in, Rachel Getting Married. Like I realized, I'm like, okay, the only way you're going to grow is if you are surrounding yourself with people that will kind of like challenge you, or are running faster than you, so to speak. So I feel gotta just keep doing that. But you guys know, I mean, you could be working on something, giving it your all, and no one could see it, and that's a real reality of this business. And so when something really does sort of happen, like it's been so great for to have Adam Pearson be recognized and for the film and in any way, shape, or form. And I keep reminding people, going like, see, like there's something here. Like, come on. I mean, because there is something there to that movie, and I think any love that he's received or we've received sort of feels very validating.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's so great. Well, speaking of reminding people, my friend and I, we've been fans of yours since The Covenant, so we go way back. But we're always irked by people being surprised that you're a good actor. We've also gotten some emails from our listeners about this too. But I'm just like, he's always been a great actor. Watch Kings, Political Animals. Like, everyone talks about Gossip Girl. They never talk about those shows because they only lasted one season. But I feel like we go through this whenever you have like a quote prestigious movie out or you're playing against type, like in Fresh or something. But like even with like Aitan, it's like, wow, he was amazing as Jeff Galooly. And now with these two movies this year, and I guess like, does that bother you or do you not mind like continually being underestimated in a way?
I mean, I guess, I don't know if I experience it like that. I don't know if I experience it like being underestimated. Right, yeah. I mean, I can understand what you're saying. And also remember, I came, like my peer group, like the guys I was auditioning with, right, were like Robert Pattinson and Chris Evans and like Chris Hemsworth and, like that's my kind of generation. And I guess Ryan Gosling maybe is a little, or he's kind of in my world. I don't know. Like, so I've watched a lot of guys like, that I was coming up with just really, skyrocket very quickly. And sure, of course, I myself felt kind of like, fuck, like, I don't know, I see these guys doing great things. But it was, I mean, like Robert Pattinson, someone that I kind of look up to. I took an example from, to be honest, because I thought he was doing what I feel like I've been trying to do really for a while, and he's done it really well. He found filmmakers that he really liked and he responded to, and he keeps doing it now. Like he's, that trailer for Mickey 17 is so cool. Like you're like, wow, he's playing a character. He's playing two different characters, but like on a big scale film. It's like, it's not an indie, it's a big scale. And that's, that's like Leo DiCaprio level, right? Like there's very few people that can do it at that magnitude. So maybe, I guess, trailing behind, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, like has been helpful for me in a way, because it gives me, I look at it like, look, you can let those things kind of feed the wrong things in you, or you can let those things kind of inspire you in different ways. And I guess I'm always trying to kind of learn. But I also, maybe this is the Eastern European mentality in me. I also just feel like I'm more comfortable kind of like seeing the road ahead and where I still have to go, rather than, getting there, whatever there is no there. But this is what I'm talking about, like the American, like getting wherever getting there is, like there's always a panic. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, I was it was after the Oscars, and there was an after party, and I was I met this recent Oscar winner, and I remember going like, how are you doing? How are you feeling about it all? And him really going, I still feel I need to, like, prove to people that I really earned that, I'm like, it's just never ending. It's never ending. And that's why you can't make it can't be a means to an end. Like, it has to be about, you have to try to find a way to have a relationship with the journey of it rather than the result,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. We have to wrap soon, but before, quickly, has Evans replied to you about doing Speed the Plow?
No, he has not.
Just left you. Why is he ghosting you?
I will text him again, but he he actually sent me a really, really beautiful text about A Different Man and how much he loved it. So I was so happy he saw it. So you see, like there are people that still are still discovering it, which is great. But I do want to hound him about that because I think that one could be good, and there's other plays we could do.
We need a reunion on stage, not just in Doomsday.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, let's see. I mean, I guess
we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Not official yet. So, well, finally, for our last segment, we're a awards magnet. So this is called Forces of Attraction, about things you're drawn to or repelled by. So just some rapid fire stuff here.
Okay, cool.
I know. Don't be scared. That's okay. What movie are you drawn to?
I want to say Donnie Darko. I don't know why. I just
nice. Good pick.
Yeah.
What TV show are you drawn to?
I just watched the recent Peacock true story of the writer who wrote on Grey's Anatomy, and then what's it called?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Elizabeth Finch. Yeah,
yes.
That was a wild story.
Yeah, terrifying.
What song are you drawn to?
I still love that song from Worst Person in the World. What's it called? And I got to tell you, I'll just say this. I mean, the Honora Take That song is there's many times I'm driving.
His favorite movie.
when that movie opened up with that song, I was like, fuck yes, this is the best. And then when he brings in the TATU song later, all the things she said, I was like,
just truly like all the time.
Truly like, I was like the Charles Parnell in Top Gun Maverick when he's like, the quiet fist pump. That was me watching that movie.
No,
so good.
For sure. And also the sequence in the movie when they're in Las Vegas and that song is thing and the thing in the background, and he's like, "This is my wife." I'm like, "I'm going to fucking Vegas."
The best.
I told him, I was like, it lit me up. It's amazing. Anyway,
it truly threw the fucking roof. That movie. It's so good.
It's just like vibes, but like to the max.
So good.
The best.
Yeah.
But the best needle drops, like half the battle is just having good needle drops in a movie. I feel like then I'm just in. So
it's such a huge thing.
Yeah. What food are you drawn to?
Oh, I'm definitely a big pizza person. Yeah. In Los Angeles, I would say Pizza Anna is definitely the best one.
What about a New York slice?
Of course. I mean, that one is like on every corner. Even the 99-cent ones are pretty good.
They're better than the LA ones.
Yeah.
And finally, what's one thing you're repelled by? Can be anything.
Jealousy.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, maybe jealousy. I don't know. There's probably I don't know if there's another word for it, but that's what came to my mind. I guess it probably has a place, but I think it has a place, and it can like kind of be an interesting. It can fuel you in a certain way, but I think when I've seen it, mostly it's so it always ends up going against anything.
I think it's bad when you take it to the extreme, just like a lot of like both what happens in both of your films in this case. Like these characters took things to the max, and it's
or maybe great. I should say like the ego. I mean that's like the thing when you see the desperation, which honestly both of these films have in these characters. I mean, that's the other thing about the last thing I'll say about The Apprentice. It's like I don't see strength. I see paranoia and desperation, and that to me feels like the opposite of strength or trust. So,
this has been great. Sebastian Stan, a 2-time Golden Globe Award nominee for The Apprentice and A Different Man. Thank you for talking to us about these films. It was great chatting. I love this so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Come back anytime.
It's so nice to meet you guys.
I know. Come back next time. I want to talk about Kings more. I love
Kings. And Gossip Girl. I would love to. Joyce knocked it, but I loved Gossip Girl. It was great.
No, I don't know. It's more that like that's what everyone talks to you about. And I'm like, no basics. One talks about Kings.
Okay.
No, I appreciate that.
Well, maybe we'll have you. If you want to do it again, let us know. Maybe we'll do it again next year, perhaps after some announcements. We'll know. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll see it again. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Thank you, Sebastian.
So much. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. You too.
Wow, Joyce, Sebastian Stan, that was great. I love talking to him.
Once again, could have spoken to him for hours.
I loved. I gotta tell you, my favorite part. Not that we need to review this, but
recap the interview.
Not to recap it, but I was just like, man, I loved how excited he was about Honora and like the music cues and stuff.
Yes,
man,
when you geeked out.
I love when a famous person actually shows interest in movies because not all of them do.
Well, I just like when people just show passion for anything. Like, I don't even have to like it myself, but I like or understand it. But I like seeing someone love something so deeply. You know?
It's really great. All right. So we're going to wrap it up here. You can email us at slugfest@goldderby.com with any questions about the shortlist, which we talked about earlier this week, about Sebastian Stan. And we'll be back tomorrow with our mailbag episode on tomorrow being Friday. But I'll talk to you then, Joyce. Bye. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet. The show is produced by Aaron Greenwald. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sikora. To be part of the show, email us at slugfests@goldderby.com and follow us on social media @goldderby.